Hey everybody, this is Passionate About Music Education and I'm Rachel Hardman. I'm here to give you another tip to help you cope with the stresses and demands of music education and to also look after yourself. It's really important. The self-care is something we don't talk enough about in education. We talk about it from the children's perspective. We're looking after our children in the classroom all the time, but there's not enough conversation about self-care for us, and it's really important. And I wish it was something that somebody taught me back in the first couple of years of teaching. It would have been much more helpful for me as an educator, particularly over a long career. And I hope these tips will give you some ideas or reaffirm what you already know and help you progress much quicker in your career and also feel more fulfilled, as well as keeping a good work-life balance and ensuring that you get self-care time. Okay, so today's tip is plan backwards, which sounds really strange. Why would you plan backwards? Well, when you are curriculum planning, it's really important to know what the end goal is, whether it's a concert and your band program or your choir program has got to put a performance on of 3 or 4 pieces, or whether it is an exam class, a GCSE, an A-level, an IB class, and or it's just a general music class and you're working on a key element. So for instance, maybe you're doing a topic of 6-7 weeks on musical elements and your focus for that particular topic is structure. So if you know what the end goal is, the achievement that you want the students in your class to reach, the music content, the musical element you want them to understand, then it's really important to start with the end and plan backwards. So what is the end goal? What is it that you want them to achieve by the end of your 6-week, 7-week, 8-week block? And if you know that, you can then go back and break it into steps. So here's your goal for the students, and then you go backwards and you work out what they need to do on each step. And that is a game changer. When I got taught that, it was a game changer in terms of curriculum planning, and it really made a big difference in taking off the stress. So instead of trying to plan a lesson as you go and go, oh, I'm going to run out of time, or I'm not going to get through everything, or I'm not really sure where I want it to go in terms of the curriculum and what I'm trying to teach the children, we're actually starting at the end and going, what is the outcome? What is it that I really want them to understand and learn, and to understand about music or drama or whatever subject you're teaching in this block of time. It's also worth doing that for the whole year if you can, and really going, right, so this term or this topic I'm going to do structure, and the following topic I'm going to do rhythm or pitch or dynamics or pop music or film music, whatever it is that you are doing that's appropriate for your students. And that really does make a big difference in your stress levels, because you know where you're aiming. My other tip is always to try and leave one buffer lesson per half term or term, because you're always going to find that if you plan for 7 lessons, you're probably only going to realistically teach 6, because one of them's going to be missing, or either they're going to have a test, or they're going to be on a sports event, or there's going to be a trip, or there's going to be a whole school assembly put on at that point that you didn't plan, and it is going to impact your planning. So don't try and cram everything into your 7 or 8 weeks, because there will be a point where you probably lose a lesson through no fault of your own. Okay, so those are really good tips in terms of thinking about planning backwards. And really, what is it that you want the students to know at the end of a chunk of learning? And if you do that and you have that clear end goal, it will take away a lot of the stress in terms of where you're going. So although you'll still have the stress of planning each individual lesson, and of course you'll go back and tweak that topic, and some lessons will work and some won't. That's quite normal in education. You know what it is that you really want the children to learn and achieve by the end of the topic. And because you know that, you'll actually be more structured in your planning and more structured in achieving your goal. And for music educators, that's kind of really important. Or also for any performing arts teachers, whether it's drama or dance, and particularly also for PE, because we do tend to find that we work to the end of a term, and we're always, putting our big concert on Christmas or the summer term, and that's usually the busiest point where you're report writing, you're marking, and you're assessing, and there's exams. There's all these other things going on that you also need to balance. So by being proactive in terms of working backwards, right, then you'll know that when you get to those really stress points with your concerts and your productions and exams and report writing, that you won't burn yourself out or be too stressed that you haven't achieved everything you wanted to teach your students. So my tip today is plan backwards with your curriculum. You could try it with all your life. It doesn't just have to be just music teaching, because really you want to self-care. And it's really important to do that in education, especially if you want to have a long career and continue to enjoy music and sharing music with children, which is an incredibly rewarding career and profession. But it's also important in a long career in education that we don't get stressed and burnt out from everything that comes at us on a daily basis. I hope this tip today has been helpful. I'm Rachel Hardman, and this is Passionate About Music Education. And thanks again for joining, and hope you've enjoyed it. Please feel free to leave a comment.